My motto is go big or go home, so I'm putting maximum effort into my outfits for my first trip to Galaxy's Edge. So these are my DIY Batuu outfit alterations. I'm sort of cobbling my outfits together by taking pieces and garments I already own and things that I purchased super cheap from thrift stores, combining them together and then altering them and doing some DIY touches to really make them feel like they belong in the Star Wars universe. And I'm going to have all of these sort of vlogged out, sort of a record for what I'm doing. So some of these will be linked down below, but be sure to subscribe and ring the bell for notifications when I upload the rest of these videos. I upload every Monday and Thursday. Thanks to some great thrift store finds, I do have some really great pieces, but they're not quite Star Wars enough for me yet. So today I'm going to sort of enhance them a bit. One of my favorite finds was definitely this brown faux leather vest. Vests in general tend to feel very Star Wars to me, and this one had that rough, broken-in feel that was exactly what I was going for, but I wanted to give it that extra bit of Star Wars. The teeth on the main front zipper are a little bit mangled and not really functional anymore, but I don't really plan on keeping this zipped up anyway. A, hot in Florida pretty much year-round, but B, I think it will sort of just cover up other parts of my outfit and sort of break the realism a little. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off the zipper, getting as close as I can to the seams. I'm not bothering to open up any seams and take out the actual zipper. I'm just going to cut it out. But for the main fun, I'm going to move to the back of the vest along the main yoke line. I already have the Orabesh font in my computer, because of course I do. So I went ahead and opened up Photoshop and I typed in a few words and phrases that I thought I might be able to use for this project. Then I copy and pasted each word rather than actually typing in the Orabesh font to make sure that I don't have any misplaced keystrokes. For this first phrase, I chose Rebel Princess because that's just how extra I am. I'm not going for mechanically perfect precision here. I'm wanting it to be just a little bit rough around the edges, which is extra Star Wars to me. So if my corners and my edges are a little bit rough, have a little bit of blank spot here or there, or my coverage inside each character is not perfect, that's kind of the look that I'm going for. So I started by giving myself a clear piece of packing tape as a bottom and top guideline for each row. That'll give me a basic space to stay within so that everything will stay relatively straight and even. But I'm not too worried about making sure that each different character is absolutely perfect. Then I worked from the middle out so that things would be relatively centered. Like I said, I'm not worried about keeping it perfectly centered, just generally in the middle. I chose sort of a golden yellow for this project. I feel like that would stand out against the brown of the vest pretty well. It has that sort of orangey rebel vibe to it, but it stays in my sort of earth tone color story that I have going for most of my rebel outfits. I feel like this color is pretty visible, but it won't be sticking out like a sore thumb. Now that the back is completely finished, I'm going to let this dry before I move to the front. I've decided to put my name going up the front of one side, and then to balance that out, I'm going to have something on the lapel on the other side. I like this sort of asymmetrical feel. The vest already has a little bit of that since the pockets are asymmetrical, so I think adding that to my details that I'm adding and DIYing will really sort of accentuate that feel. I also picked up this bag, and since I'm pretty sure I'm going to be wearing it with the brown vest, I want to make sure that they coordinate together nicely. But one of my favorite things about this bag is all the different colors and textures, so I'm going to use a couple different techniques on it. Just for fun, if you figure out what I'm painting on the bag, type it in the comments below. My last piece is this pair of brown cropped cargo pants. There's a lot of flaps and pockets to work with, but this piece is already pretty busy, so I want to keep it kind of simple. This is going to be the cheapest and easiest method that I'm using, and it'll work on a variety of materials. No matter what you're using to write on your garment, a helpful tip is to find a spot that won't be visible when the item is being worn or used. So in this case, on the inside of the waistband, I tested out a couple different colors of paint, colored pencil, and Sharpie. I decided that the simple black Sharpie shows up pretty well on the brown and it doesn't bleed too badly, which can happen with some materials, so that's a good reason to test somewhere like the waistband. So for the pants, I'm using the word Rebel, but I'm putting that on a flap for one of the pockets. I know Sharpie is called a permanent marker, but it will wash out over time. I'm not too worried about this piece holding up though. I'm not going to be wearing these on a frequent and regular basis, so the little bit of wear and wash that they're going to get won't be an issue, and if it does fade too much, I can always just go back in with the Sharpie and touch it back up. Now I've added some Orbesh to several garments, and they're definitely starting to feel a little more in-depth and authentic. But I really want to make sure that it's super obvious that these are Rebel outfits, so I'm going to make myself a couple of patches. But I want all these patches to sort of coordinate so that when I am mixing and matching these different garments, they'll kind of go together and feel like they belong together, and that's hard to do with prefab patches that you can purchase. They tend to come in only limited sizes, and they might be very similar from one to the other, but not necessarily matchy, so that's a good reason to go ahead and make my own. So for these patches, I am using a plain black heat transfer vinyl and a stiffened, thick white felt. So I measured all the different places that I wanted to put a patch, and then I used my Cricut to cut identical black Rebel symbols in those different sizes. Then I just ironed all 3 black vinyl pieces onto a scrap of white felt that I had left over from a previous project. Then once the vinyl has cooled off a little bit, I can go ahead and with a pair of scissors just cut out the various white felt circles. Again, I want these patches to feel like they belong together, but I don't necessarily want them to be identical. So I'm going to go ahead and leave some slight differences between the 3 of them. On this one, I'm leaving a very narrow white border and going ahead and cutting down into the negative spaces of the symbol. On this one, I'm doing the very narrow white border, but I'm not cutting down into the negative space, so it's staying more just of a regular circle. And on the smallest one, I am doing a slightly wider border to make it just a little bit different from the other 2 and not cutting down into the negative space. I just used a little bit of clear tacky glue to hold everything in place. This way the clear won't show. It may not be the absolute best hold possible, but for the amount of wear that I plan to get out of these items, I'm not worried about it. I think this will hold up perfectly fine. And once all my patches are stuck down, I just need to set them aside and let them dry in place. And now I've gone from some regular modern day clothing to some really fun and unique custom Star Wars pieces. I hope you found this fun and inspirational. If you did, please like down below. Let me know in the comments below what my bag says. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next time.